Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, and very, very pleased to have my colleagues from Mission Federal Credit Union sitting in on this episode. As you know, that our Spotlight on the Community shows are sponsored by this iconic credit union. Has been just doing unbelievable things for 60 years. They are so community-oriented. It's just unbelievable, and I'm just honored to be part of this group. Joining me is Enrique Mesa, Communications and Segment Marketing Manager for Mission Fed Credit Union. How you doing, Enrique?
I'm doing great. Thanks for including me today in this segment.
It's our honor. How long have you been with Mission Fed?
I've been with Mission with almost now 7 years.
7 years. Okay, very good. So where were you before?
Before I was with a local nonprofit called the San Diego Diplomacy Council, and focusing on
we need a lot of diplomacy in this world. I'm going to talk to you about that afterwards.
I learned a lot from that world to bring into this world. So yes, I agree.
So important. Joined by Marko Ramirez, Mission Fed Credit Union Bank Manager. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Which branch?
I'm at the new branch we just opened in Chula Vista, Broadway and Palomar.
How's that going?
It's amazing. Having lots of fun.
How long have you been involved with Mission Fed?
December 1st of this year will be my 16th year.
So, okay, where were you before?
Bank of America.
Okay. Yes. You went on that side of the aisle. Okay, very good. And we're good friends at Bank of America. Everyone's doing good things in the community on this. Enrique, so what's the major focus of your job?
So the major focus of my job, it's kind of twofold, right? It's a communication side on assisting the team with some of our external communication and just the messaging that we're putting out to the community. On the segment marketing side, which is kind of the gist of what we're ideally talking about today, is more on the segment market, specifically our Hispanic community here in San Diego. So it's how do we show up in the community with Mission Fed through community partnerships, through our messaging, and as well through our employee engagement.
Right. So it's a Hispanic Heritage Month, correct?
Correct.
How long have you guys been involved in that?
Well, we've been a part of Hispanic Heritage, just kind of how we are in terms of the makeup of our employees for a while now. In terms of Hispanic Heritage Month, it starts September 15th. It goes through October 15th. So it's split in between those 2 months,
that's right.
Which is great because in that there's a recognition of variety of Latin culture, right? It's not necessarily purely just celebrating Mexico. It's Mexico, Central America, South America, and in that we know that our employees also are representative of those cultures and of that identity. So we're very proud to say that our employees represent the Hispanic community almost on a 1-to-1 here in San Diego. But we've been fortunate to also support multiple nonprofits that they themselves provide programs and opportunities for that financial wellness that, of course, is super important for us here at Mission Fed.
Yeah, without question. You folks got this prestigious moniker from the first one in San Diego County to get this. What is it, and when did you get it?
So thanks for asking. The moniker that you're referring to is called Juntos Avanzamos. It's kind of a mouthful of sorts, but it's Spanish for Together We Advance. It's a designation that's provided only to credit unions around the country, DC and Puerto Rico. And the opportunity for Juntos Avanzamos really is just saying that you are not only are you engaged with the Hispanic community, but your products, your services, which Marko, of course, can speak more about that. But the makeup of your board, the makeup of your employees are also kind of aware, plugged in to the Hispanic community. You have a plan to serve the Hispanic community. So Juntos Avanzamos, the designation you have to earn. It's a sort of rigorous process where you open up your credit union and say, this is who we are, and this is who we want to serve, and this is the why behind what we do. We received the designation earlier this year. We had a ceremony in Chula Vista that recognized not just Mission Fed becoming the first credit union to receive the designation in San Diego County, but also just the importance of it, right? It's really saying to the community, we're planting a flag that, Hispanics, immigrants, and just some people that have been left out of the financial system in the U.S. now have an opportunity. They have a source that they can trust, and they could obviously, receive some sort of education in terms of their financial journey.
No, that's terrific. So who gave you this the award? Is it the county?
It's not. The county was there sort of saying congrats. They did give us a designation as well.
Yeah.
The entity behind it is called Inclusive.
Okay.
And Inclusive is based in New York. Inclusive has somewhere in the ballpark of 700 credit union members all around the country, all 50 states. Juntos makes up roughly about 130 of those credit unions. And so we're joining a small but yet growing group of credit unions that, say, this market is very important to us. And again, us being the first is kind of a big deal for this region, which is why the county was there, the mayor of Chula Vista was there. There was some other local businesses and nonprofits that we've been supporting that also have Mission Fed members that were there. So it was kind of a big party with mariachi and whatnot. Drew, we were looking for you. I didn't see you.
Yeah, I was hiding underneath the barrel of wine. No, listen, that's quite an honor. Congratulations on this. And listen, one thing I've known about Mission Fed, and I've been working with you folks for quite a while. You don't do it for the awards. You do it because it's the right thing to do, and it's in your DNA anyway. And if the awards come, that's fantastic. We're chatting with Enrique Mesa, Communications and Segment Marketing Manager for Mission Fed Credit Union, joined by his colleague Marko Ramirez, Union Bank Branch Manager for Mission Fed in Chula Vista. This is pretty cool stuff, is it not, Marko?
Oh, yes. I'm really excited to work in a branch that I was born at a hospital a block away from where I work now.
Oh.
I went to school within 2-mile radius of where I work now. I went to high school, 3-mile radius of where I'm at now, and I live in the community as well. So, I have a lot of friends that come out that went to elementary school, middle school, and high school with me, and now I'm serving this community as their, financial advisor and financial literacy presentations, and so really excited for what we're doing.
So when they walk in the branch and they see you there, are they going, holy mackerel, I went to a school with a guy named Marko Ramirez, but you look a lot like him. That's me, by the way, correct?
That's correct. Not too long ago, I had one of my elementary school teachers come out, and she had a bit of work to do on her account, and I wasn't doing too well in math when I was in her class, right? And surprisingly, we come in, and I start talking to her. I remember her, good details on when I was in her class, and she says, "You know what? I think I did something right." Yeah, and I said, "Yes, you did, because now I'm helping you."
What a great feeling that is!
Yes,
that's absolutely terrific. And Chula Vista is such a vibrant city. It's got so many cool things going on in that area. I was fortunate enough to work with one of the supervisors that just was down there. Greg Cox, as we know, and of course Cheryl was the mayor. I think Greg was the mayor for a while, as it is, and just a great vibe there. Love their superintendents that have worked, and I'm sure you guys have worked closely with them. Francisco Escobeda, who has now moved on to some great things, and now their current superintendent, Dr. Reyes, is just killing it. Matter of fact, our business, Cloudcast Media, is going to be doing some big work with them on their sound station. So it's all good things on this. Let me ask you this, Marko. So when you got this job, in Chula Vista, did you go, okay, this is what I have in mind for being a leader. This is why it's so important for me to do this thing. Or is it just, listen, this is natural. I can't wait. I'm back home.
No, it was important for me to stay within the community that I've been born and raised in this community. Being Hispanic, I was the translator for my family, right? I was the one that started learning about finances and the professional business in my home because I was the translator for them. And I know that. So I know that there's a great need in this community for us to be front-facing, to have these parents and grandparents feel comfortable with me. And, the children go to school and they have their own things going on. And at times, they don't want to be the translator and they don't know. So being in a community where I can be front-facing to all ages, it's really been helping me in building that big footprint.
No, that sounds great. And Enrique, I mean, obviously, besides that great designation and this aspect of it, certainly opens up a lot of other opportunities for Mission Fed, does it not?
Yeah, it certainly does. I think Marko brings up the very important point of family. And that's, the message that we are putting out to the community, that, Mission Fed is a family. We are very aware of just some of the hardships that our communities are facing. And, people like my colleague Marko and others across the Mission Fed network is, we know the mission, we hold it very close to heart, and that's the community that we're serving, where our branches are located. And so the story that Marko has, it's multiplied through Mission Fed. I think there's others that also have that similar type of passion to serve the community that you grew up in. So we're proud that the designation is seen as something that other nonprofits are taking notice as well. We pride ourselves in that being a partner of choice by the nonprofit community. And so Juntos really just opens the door to work closer, for example, with the Mexican consulate right here in San Diego, to work closer with some of the nonprofits that perhaps are focusing on what's referred in the community as ITIN, right? The individual tax identification numbers. Some people don't have social security numbers. Well, that, there are nonprofits that will help people set up an ITIN, right? So you're paying taxes for the work that you're doing. Well, some people in the ITIN community aren't aware that they can open up an account with Mission Fed. They can start that relationship. So they're not cashing their checks at liquor stores, or they're not using payday advance, right? So those are the messaging and really the opportunity that we have, that not only does it mean growth for us, but of course it means growth and financial wellness for that individual here in San Diego.
Right, which is, we all know that the bread and butter of any community, and especially a major city, is the small businesses, the mom and pops that have maybe 3 or 4 employees, or maybe a little bit more on this, the ones that are the engine that works all the time. We tend to look at the big companies, and not discounting the big companies, they do beautiful work too, SDG&E and so forth and all that, but it's those mom and pops, and it's the small people that, smaller people or smaller incomes that are coming in that contribute so mightily to San Diego. We come back from break, Enrique and Marko. I want to talk about something that positions you guys beautifully in Mission Fed, just because of what you've been doing for 60 years. You guys are connectors, just because of all the businesses you work with, whether it's, food banks and it's Junior Achievement, or it's filling the 4 zillion other people you work with, Art Walk and all that. That's going to be a great opportunity for you when you're out there, Marko, in the community, and say, meeting with maybe a client, or someone who is in your credit union, say, let me put you in touch with X, Y, and Z. Let's talk about that when we come back from break. How's that sound?
Absolutely.
Sounds very good. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We're in the beautiful Mission Fed studio here in Scripps Ranch, and Mission Fed's been just bringing phenomenal things to San Diegans for more than 60 years. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and you've been listening to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We're here in the Mission Fed Studios in the Scripps Ranch, and bringing great things to San Diegans for more than 60 years. We're honored to have with us Enrique Mesa. He's the Communications and Segment Marketing Manager for Mission Fed Credit Union, joined by his colleague, Marko Ramirez, Branch Manager in Chula Vista. And why don't you shout out that prestigious award again that you folks are so proud of?
Absolutely. The award is Juntos Avanzamos. It's a designation that's given to credit unions that have a mission and service and obviously engagement with the Hispanic community.
You know, we were talking right before break, Enrique, and you can jump in on this, and you too, Marko, that you guys are connected to so many organizations, nonprofits, and we started listing them here. It would be a 17-hour show, so we can't do that. But there's a ton of them. I mentioned some of them. You know, I'm a little prejudiced about Junior Achievement because I'm honored to be on that board for quite a while. But there's a whole bunch of other organizations. Does that not help you, Enrique, that when you're now working in the community, you've got these connections that you can recommend to other people that, hey, you know, let me put you in touch with fill in the blank? Talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. And that's, you know, part of kind of how we do our work. We know you mentioned earlier, right, the bigger banks, right, the bigger foundations that have more in their arsenal in terms of finances, right, to distribute. And we're aware of that. But I think coming from the nonprofit sector, I know that it takes, you know, everyone to be able to support our community. So when we do have our partnerships with these nonprofits, or for that matter, through Juntos, as we're discovering, or we're being discovered, right, because of that designation, we love being the connector, the ability to introduce a nonprofit to maybe another funder, another grant, a federal, you know, opportunity. Is kind of what drives this as well. We know that you know, through the entire county, which that's our field of membership, right? So that's right. We're just San Diego County. Our 34 now branches are just exclusive just to San Diego, and that makes our work relatively easier in the sense that we're looking at nonprofits that are mission driven, like we are, to support, and to work in those communities. So, you know, making those small business connections with sort of the nonprofits, or for that matter, with even with other financial institutions, is something that we know is really important. So when we are at an event and we see multiple logos, I mean, that makes us really happy that yes, we're sharing the spotlight, but it's not about us. It's about that nonprofit that is vital to San Diego, whether it's on environmental issues, whether it's food insecurity, healthcare, down to financial wellness, which is sort of our bread and butter. We know the importance of it, and that's something that, you know, again, drives us every day.
Yeah, and I think, Marko, that is so spot on what Enrique said. You know, it's not checkbook philanthropy. I mean, listen, we all know money turns lights on. Nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But it's the people behind it, and that force and mission fed, when those employees come out and volunteer at an event, or they're, you know, staffing the registration booth, or they're in the walk, or they're working at JA's BizTown, wherever the case may be. How many of your employees are engaged in the community at your branch?
This branch that I have now, it's 7 of us, including me, and every single one of us has had an opportunity to be involved out in an event. An example, we come out to break rooms and present financial literacy presentations, not only to nonprofits, but to MTS, you know, and to Costco's and Walmarts and things like that. And, you know, you mentioned earlier, Drew, that people walk in and they say, oh, I know this guy, right? And they come looking for me because I do know if they want to get an insurance quote. I've worked with people that trust Mission Fed to let us in their doors, to then me be able to transfer my member and trust that they will be taken care of the way we do. You know, so I serve as a source of financial literacy, their auto loans, you know, teaching them the importance of saving, but being connected in the community with these, like you mentioned, smaller businesses that they can go to as well and you know, help out the community.
Well, you know, and we all know this. When you guys are all about relationships, you know, for 75 different reasons, you know, not just in the financial world, but of course in, you know, in society, of course, in the nonprofit world and all that business. And you just hit on something that we know there's nothing more important, and that is trust and loyalty. And you can say it all you want, but it's something that you got to see has earned and all that. And you folks have done it for 60 years. And you know when someone gets that insurance quote from Marko, it's not going to be some, nonsense. It's going to be the real deal. And you'll probably tell them, like it is about what they need to do to get that aspect of it, or home loans or car loans, or fill out everything in between. Enrique, I know that's something that's important to you folks, is to have that street cred and the cred in general, and the trust of folks. You work hard on that. Talk about that.
Absolutely. I'm just going to add, Marko over here is being very humble. The fact is, for Mission Fed, one of the things that we do have employees that are in our commercials, that are in our ads, and Marko is one of them. So it's interesting. He's shared stories of people coming into the branch. Wait, I recognize you from that poster or that commercial. So, we're over here. Kudos to Marko. But that's an important point of just the significance of those relationships and why trust matters. More so, I know across multiple cultures, but in the Hispanic community, right? And Marko was sharing earlier about his relationship with his family and his role. And we know that you build a relationship with a Hispanic community and a family. You're going to build it with their cousins and their what's often called their comadres, compadres, their neighbors, and that's really the importance of the work that we do, and you have to build that on trust, but you have to show up in the community, right? And that's why when Marko referenced, the fact that not just himself, but his fellow Mission Fed employees are at the branch are involved in their respective communities, and so that's really the gist of what we continue to do. And then the bigger piece really of all of this is just the drive of financial inclusion. And that's something that even pre-COVID, I think CDC had done multiple research of making that connection between wellness, overall wellness, and just the state of your finances for your home, and the connection to mental health. And so, you have a pandemic that just compounds on that, and us, especially now through Juntos, through our focus on financial wellness and financial inclusion, and the partnerships that we know are important and vital, is really the motivating factor of our work. Juntos is just one small piece of that work that we do, but more than anything, we know that financial inclusion is something that is meant for the entire county, and for where all of our 34 branches are located. And it's through that work, through the connections, the partnerships, but at the end of the day, it's of course the opportunity to serve those communities, and that's again the importance of Marko and my fellow coworkers.
Well, and it's that trust, and we all know that trust, and the relationships tie just absolutely into your field, Enrique, which is marketing. Those consumers are going to go with those companies that they trust, that they love the brand. Mission Fed is associated with fill in the blank, literacy, foods, security, not insecurity, food security, and so forth. I'm going to put my money where that company is. We all know that's been going on for many, many years because of that. Marko, we got about a minute or so to go. Any final comments?
I just want to touch base on what what Enrique just mentioned. Ricardo is a gentleman that works with me out in the community, and we do so much. And I wanted to speak to him as well, that he's in multiple branches within the South Bay community. So he not only works with me, he works with 10 other branches, and that has the same views and the same visions, right? Enrique mentioned that I'm on a commercial, and Mission Fed allowed me to have that opportunity with my son. My son that goes to a local school in San Isidro, and he's recognized as well. So, but them walking into our offices and mentioning, "Oh, I saw you on TV," and it's the same, person that's doing my banking. It goes a long way to what we can do here at Mission Fed.
Yeah, no, that's terrific. Enrique, any final comments?
If anything, again, just an opportunity to thank you for spotlighting really not just the Hispanic heritage pride that Marko and I and many of my coworkers have for Mission Fed, but just the opportunity to share the importance of the work that we do. And at the end of the day, again, it's that community focus. It's that individual that establishes a relationship with us, and we know how how much of a difference I can make for that person's household, their community, of course, for the region as a whole. So thank you again for just spotlighting us and the opportunity to be here.
Well, you guys do so many life-changing things every single day, and it has impact not only to that family, but everybody who is tied to that family. So again, it is our honor. We've been chatting with Enrique Mesa, Communications and Segment Marketing Manager for Mission Fed Credit Union, joined by his colleague Marko Ramirez, a branch manager in Chula Vista. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing just phenomenal things in San Diego for more than 60 years. Hope you enjoyed the show.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.